Welcome back, data leaders and learners to Insight Builder channel. Master the engine of Python. Loops, control statements and functions. Practicals. As the video states, this is going to be practical. So let us dive directly into the terminal. No time for gossip, right? So what happens is we are going to directly start working on whatever we learned in last video number 9. This is kind of a additional video that I am making to show you how to try using Python for learning about loops, about the conditional statements, that is the control statements, and also to create some immediate functions that can help you in day-to-day activity. Shall we begin? Before we begin, you need to go and get the repo that I've already told you in a couple of other videos. I will again show it to you. This is important, so I am showing it, showing the repo also once again, so that it will be easier for you guys to. All you need to do is go to this link that is shown at the top here. The description of this video will have this link anyway. Go there and just try to pull the repo. So if you're new to GitHub, then there are videos that I've made specifically for you to come up to speed on both GitHub as well as on Python. So just take a look. I'll be also tagging those videos in this video also. You can take a look at that. Let me now move fast to the terminal because it's an interesting time to be around. So let me first of all just do a list directory ls, and I will go into code script and I will go into Python scripts. So I'll be inside the scripts. The various scripts that I am writing for this course will be stored in this folder, and it will be available for you also. You have to just download the GitHub repo. What I'm going to do is, in order to download the GitHub repo, you need to use git clone, and you have to give the repo link. So just in case if you are new, and let me fire up the Python terminal. So whatever terminal I am in right now is actually a Linux terminal. If you have come from any other directly you came through YouTube by searching something for this video, I would request that you go through at least 1 or 2 videos of this playlist, the first 2 videos of this playlist, to come up to speed. So you will understand why, what is the intention of these videos and what is the final objective. So let us start by firing up the Python terminal, and we are inside the Python terminal, and we are going to start by first of all checking how to work with conditions. Okay, how to have full control of the flow of the program. That you are going to do with conditions. So let us first create 2 variables. Always it is better to learn conditions using numbers. So let us start by x equal to 5 and y equal to 25, and z is okay. Let us say ay is equal to 57. So these are just 3 numbers we are going to start working with. First and foremost, we are going to check the conditions. So what I'm going to check is, I'm going to say to myself that if x is greater than ay, then print ay. Okay, whatever I told to myself, I directly converted it into program. The program that I've written there in front of you is exactly how you are going to convert your thought process. And if I press enter twice, you'll see nothing printed. You'll be wondering, okay, you did all these things but nothing printed. But take a look at this expression clearly. I told if x is greater than ay, then print ay. Okay, you see x is 5 and ay is 57. So this will return as false. If this returns false, then this expression will not execute. So let us see the other way. So if I say x is less than ay and I say print ay, this time it will print as 57 and it will not print x. See, what I am asking is, I am asking it to print ay, not x. I'm just checking it. When you start programming, one of the major challenges I faced, at least maybe you guys may not face it because I'm going to explain it to you. What happens in case of conditions is we inherently have a challenge in working with logic. It takes a lot of concentration to go to have an understanding of what you are typing, what you are writing here. Like I'm saying, okay, x is greater than ay is something that I've written in letters. But this x has a value 5 and this ay has a value 57. Our human brain will immediately forget it. It will not even think. It will immediately say, okay, I'm not getting the answer. The major point of this course is that I want you to be in the flow. And to be in the flow, you have to get continuously answers from the compiler or the interpreter in case of Python. That is how you can really learn programming at a very high speed. It's like getting addicted to it, as I have explained in a couple of other videos. So let me take it further. Let us see a different way of working with conditions. Say if I say if1, okay, and I say print x, okay, what do you expect the value will be? When I gave if1, it immediately printed the value of x. So this 1 actually became true for Python. And if I say if0, and if I say print, you'll see nothing came out. What this means is that you can just use number 0 and 1 as a conditions output. So 1 becomes true and 0 becomes false. Okay, now let us look at something much more simpler. What if I just took this expression and put it directly on the terminal command line and just enter? You see what happened? It is saying true. The Python interpreter is telling that x is less than ay statement. This is actually a statement in Python. It says that it is true. And if I say ay is less than y, the value will be false. What exactly happens is ay less than y statement is tending towards false, or it is interpreted as false by the Python program. What the interpreter interprets is more important than what you think. One of my inspiration, Brett Victor, the computer scientist, has been telling that the way we are designing the programming languages like Python or whatever it is, that we have to still have all the functions and the workings of the program inside the programmer's mind or the developer's mind, like you and me. He wants to develop a program or the language which you don't need to worry about how the programming language works, and you just use it for programming. So you don't need to think how interpreter will interpret the sentence. Intuitively, if you say x is less than ay, interpreter will have to find it out that it is true. This is one of the ways of thinking. Okay, so let us continue further. As I had already explained in the earlier video, the power of the expressions come when you use and or. So let us see what happens. Simply, let us see what happens if I type true and press enter. It will reply true. Okay, this is something that you need to understand. So if I say 0 is equal to 1, okay, the equal to symbol here means that I am comparing 0 with 1, okay, and the answer will be false. So these are some of the ways where you can play with the conditionals. Next, what we are going to do is I am going to say true and false. You will say it comes as false. And if I say true and true, it will come out as true. Now let us see what happens if I am going to use that true and false and then let us say print x, else I say print y. The answer will be y. The answer will be the value of y, because if true and false, this statement true and false is a single statement, will be interpreted as false by the Python interpreter. This is how the actual expression gets to work. So now instead of using true and false, if I say x is less than ay and x is less than y, then print x, else okay, that is a syntax error. So this is one of the challenges when you are working with the interpreter directly in the terminal. So that is why these things are better worked upon in Python scripts. But still, I am going to continue using the command prompt here. Let me continue, and I am going to say, I can just press up arrow and I say else b, and I say print y, and this time you will see what will happen. So x is 5, which is less than 57, and x is 5, which is less than 25. In both the cases, this will also become true and this will also become true. So the value will be true. So answer will be 5. You see this? Because this actually tends to be true, so it becomes 5. And if the same expression, if I say here, I'm going to change it to, I am manually making it as false now. Okay, and if I say else, and if I say print, okay, let us say ay, you will see the answer will be the value of ay. So this actually became false, so it tended to else and it became 57. This is how you have to practice it. These are all simple things. I mean, there is not complicated mathematics involved in this. You are just playing with the command line Python interpreter. That's it. This is what I'm asking you to practice. So the more you practice this way, you'll start liking to work with the programming language. Else, what will happen is, if you take any of the problems or any difficult thing to achieve, say you want to do some math expression which is like a trigonometry, you want to do something in trigonometry, or you want to do something in differential calculus, or you want to do data sets directly. But if you don't understand these basic steps, you will miserably fail. And once you fail, you will lose interest in programming. That is the reason why I'm actually showing you a different way to make you love you understood the objective, right? You have to fall in love, and in order to fall in love with something, you have to start getting the feedback which is positive for you. So this is the if you see, this is the overall intention of showing you this stuff. I have given you a basic of the conditionals and how to work with that. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to take it a little bit to the next step. I'm going to introduce something called as range. So let us say a list. You see, I am using something called as camel case. Whenever I use a word like this, if I say a list, and if the letter in the middle of the word is capital, in caps or uppercase, it is called as camel case. Okay, and I can say list. I am passing the range function inside the list function. Python has a very strong support for these kinds of type conversions. So let me tell you what is type conversion in a moment, but let me execute this code. And if I execute this code, the a list variable will contain actually a list of numbers. So you see the list of numbers from 0 to 4. Okay, now you'll be wondering, what if instead of using the list inside, using the range inside the list, what if I did only range? Let us see what happens. You will see it just returns that range is between 0 and 5. That it returns just an object. how to find that it is an object? It is very simple. You just do a type around this, and you'll see the object name is class. The object name is range. It is of type range. This is how you actually find the types of things. What this basically means is, if you don't wrap around the range object around the list object, then you will not get this list. The interpreter will not create the list. It will only create the object. Okay, these and types of differences between the object and the real physical thing. So here the list is a physical thing right now, correct? If you can visualize it, that list is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 containing 5 elements. Inside the interpreter, inside your processor or your RAM, there is a place where this 5 elements or 5 numbers are getting stored as list. This is real. If you want, there are ways to find out in which register these numbers are stored in your RAM, which is a little bit advanced, but we can do that if you want. There are ways to do that in Python. But if you look at this range, you will not find anything related to the number. You will just find a single object. Okay, let me further go and start looping on this range. So let us see how easy it is to work with Python. Because if I take a for loop, and if I say for element in a list, and I'm going to say print element. Okay, basically I am asking Python to for element in a list. So all the element in a list, print each element. So this is what this particular statement tells. So let me execute this as usual, and you see it is coming as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I see that each and every number is getting printed in new line, but I don't want that to happen. If you have seen my earlier videos, there is a way to do that. So what we do is, instead of using just print, we are going to say end is equal to tab. Okay, let us see what happens this time. Okay, something different happened, and you even see this prompt has come here. So the next command I will be entering here, not like in this case the prompt came down to the next line, but in this case there is a space here and the prompt came here, because I am saying that print the tab instead of new line. So whenever you give print without any kind of additional parameters, it will by default consider it as new line. So let me show you what happens. So instead of t, it will be new line like this. So this is what this new line is by default getting used by the print command. Okay, this is how you loop over the range of anything. Okay, range of anything. So even if I create a list, so let us say my list. This time I'm going to say my list. Okay, I'm going to use a different case right now. I'm going to use snake case. So why it is called a snake case? You might be wondering. It is because I am having there is a kind of a wavy nature to this. So the word here, my list, has been split, and I have kept an underscore here. This is an underscore, and what happens is this is the if you remember a snake waving around or moving around a particular place, you will see that it is moving around like this. It will move around up and down like this. It will move around like that. So this particular word looks like that. So there is up and down, up and down. So that is why it is called a snake case. Now let me continue with creating the list, and I am saying, say I want to create A, B. Okay, all this A, B, C and all those stuff I am putting it around the single quotes, because that it is considered as string. If you don't put it, then it will raise an error. Let me show you how it raises an error. So if I don't put it around anything, and if I execute, okay, it executed. Okay, the list did not complain. Why it did not complain? Because if you check my list right now, you will see A, B, K came as it is, but instead of X, I am getting 5. Where did I get this 5 from? The 5 came from the 5 that I initiated in the beginning. So that is how you can use whatever your variables you are making, right? You can use it in other data structures also. I have spoken about that in my data structures video. This is how you can use it. So now assume that I am creating another list. So I say another list. As simple as that. You just give another name to it, and if I say B, okay, now if I execute, I get a name error. All these error names, this is going to be very important for you in little time. There is something called as try catch block and try except block, where you will have to know the error name. As of now, don't worry about that. This is telling that there is no any variable with the name B. So what I do is I just come back here. See, even though there is a B here, this B is considered as a string, but this B is considered as a variable. So that is the reason why I wanted to show you the difference here. So I create something called as BA and I press enter, and another list is created, and you'll see that this is how the list is. Now on this list also, so if I say for LE in and list, if I say for LE in and list, and if I say print LE, it will print the elements. The print the elements as it is, and you will see once you print it, the quotes around the letters goes off. So print statement prints it out to standard out. So we have come to a certain place where you have seen how the conditionals work. Even in this case, right, I have not given you the full breadth and depth of how to work with conditionals or how to work with loops. There is a lot more to explore, and lot of puzzles and lot of problems involve loops. And one important point I wanted to share here is that you can use nested loops. So let us loop around, let us say element in my list, and then I press enter, and again I go press a tab here, and I say for men in another list. Okay, I'm using another list here. There are two lists that I have created, and now under this I have to press 2 tab, and I say print element and men, and see what happens now. Okay, I'm just going to print it. Okay, I will have to give a space, it will be easier. So I will be using string literal here. So when I do this, you will see that it is little more easier to understand. Element and another and new element. And I say men here. Okay, once I print this, you will see it prints a series of statements. Okay, you saw it prints a series of statements, and wherever there is element and LE, it actually gets the first list data. So you see this, it prints A, prints B, prints K, prints phi, all those things it is printing for how many elements the another list has. So A, B, A, K, A, phi, A, B, A. All this A, B, K, phi, B, A, if you go and check above, A, B, K, phi, A is part of an underscore list. So what this has done is it has actually nested the loop. So there is a first loop at the top, and there is a second loop, and under this comes the print statement. If you put the print statement here, check what happens. You will find the things work in a different way. You need to check these things, because nested loops have a very deep impact on how you work with in Python. Because if you use these loops wrongly, then you can make your system hang. Basically, if this loop takes forever to run, what will happen is all my system resources, or at least my Python command line that I'm using, will not be usable by anybody else. So this is how you hang a system. In order to come out of the hanging, you have to improve the program. You have to understand where the program is getting into such kind of loops, which is wrong, logically wrong, or it could be that is how the problem has to be solved. Sometimes the problems has to be solved using such a complicated loops. There is no other way. There are problems like that. In the previous video, I had given you some of the books which tells about which shows you about such problems. Okay, now there is only one thing that is pending, to introduce you to functions. Functions are like parts inside your car or inside your laptop or your even your mouse or your earphones. So there are small parts which each have their own functions. So I'm going to create a simple function right now, a very simple function that is going to return me a list. Okay, so let me say def return list, and I'm not going to give it any kind of parameters or arguments. I'm just going to create a simple function that just returns me a list. So I say return, I actually use this kind of command. I say I do this and I enter. So there is no reply right now. There is no anything printed right now. But if I say I create a new function list 1, I'm going to create a couple of lists now. So I'm going to use this and I say return list. Okay, and now what will happen is inside the new function list1 variable, you will see that there is a list that this got returned. So this is how you use functions. Let us take it one step higher. So I actually go back here and I say return list arg. Okay, this is a new function I'm creating, and here I say value. Okay, this is actually a parameter that I'm sending in, and I'm going to use the same command that I used at the top, that is return list range, but instead of giving 5, I'm going to say value here, and you will see there is something different happening. Okay, what will happen is, now assume new function new func list 2 is equal to return list arg, and inside this I give 10. I will get a list of range from 0 to 10. So you will see, okay, that was an error. So by just giving an argument here, I was able to change the value in the range, and I could get the list of outputs from the function. So this is how you actually, and you can go on and create how much ever different variables you want with this function. So that is, even if you want to create it with 1100. So if I want to go ahead and create it, you will see that it actually creates that range. So you saw, that is the power of using the functions. So once you create it and keep it, and you can use it how much ever times you want. Okay, there is one challenge here. Here the main challenge is that you have to ensure that these functions are only available for this session. So I created a Python session in the beginning, and it is only available for this session. After I close this session, if I exit, okay, and I go back again into Python, and if I say return list, and if I give 10, you will get a name error. It will say that name return list is not defined. So whatever you defined here, the return list function that I defined here, def return list, will not work once you come out of the Python session. So this is a new session altogether, and Python will forget everything. Keep this in mind, and that is the reason why you should put all these kinds of things inside a script and then work from there. Since I am explaining to you all these things, I am using without any script. So As you can see right now that we have come to almost in another half an hour. I've explained a lot of things about the conditions, how to use the functions, how to create a function, in fact, how to use the loop using for. I do not use while loop, and I feel that you don't need while loop in the beginning of your programming career. It is better that you don't touch that right now. You can use it as you become much more comfortable with the logic, with the conditional statements that we discussed at the beginning of this video. After that, you will understand how to manipulate the interpreter for your benefit, because that is the real power, right? This is your computer, right? This is your laptop, and what happens is Python is almost there in every Linux right now, every Linux environment. If you go to any of your Windows operating system also, all it takes is just pulling the Python download file from the internet, and you're up and running in Python in no time. It is as easy as firing up an Excel sheet. But if you can actually fire Python, if you can put the logic appropriately, use the functions and use the for loop appropriately, you can automate a lot of stuff. But you can automate the stuff that you know how to do, and you know how to program it into the Python code. That is the main intention, because I myself have coded a lot of automation stuff like that. Like, for an example, I want to take an Excel sheet and convert it into series of charts, or take and download all the YouTube videos from a playlist. All those things are possible, but you need to understand how to do it manually, and then explore it how to do in Python, like how I explained in the previous videos, and then finally put it in a script. That is how the entire process goes on. So I hope that this video is very helpful for you guys. And if you have further doubts, if you want me to cover any other part of this Python ecosystem, I'll be covering a lot of other things in the next videos. I'll be going through how to create classes. I'll be explaining how to do test-driven development. That will be my next video. After this video, I'll be putting that up. After we are through with test-driven development and how to create classes, then the basics of Python is completed in less than, if you take all the videos till now, in less than 4 hours, you have gone through the entire Python basics in less than 4 hours, and you can even practice it as it goes on. So less than 8 hours, you can come up to speed in Python if you even practice for 4 hours. So that is how you can, you have to learn. And after that, you can start reading the code written by others, and then you can further improve your knowledge in Python. But understand that the most important thing is that you take whatever we are learning and go to your prompt, go to your Python command terminal, and start typing those commands and see what the output comes. Stay tuned, guys, for the test-driven development video, and after that, the video on classes. See you then. Have a nice time.